How's it going, guys? We're here with another Rust What's Coming to take a look at the changes coming up in the future as well as this week's update specifically. So you'll notice there's a few updates to the rad towns. Up here, these fans are now properly textured, which really isn't a huge deal, as well as these AC units. One of the cool things, though, is if you take a look into the office buildings, they are now populated with stuff. There's pictures like cobalt nuclear propulsion, and there's all sorts of little posters. The future is out there. Project Nova, you know, there's some cool stuff. And I think this is getting ready to go with the whole, you know, lootable items thing that we're going to see. I also thought it was cool that we have little computer terminals sitting around. They're pretty old looking computers. So you know, it begs the question as to, I mean, look at this too. It's very 80s cubicles too. Chairs and such, like these lamps, the phones. So it's very interesting to kind of wonder, what time period is Rust? I don't know. Is it just been sitting here derelict for that long? I don't know. We'll just have to kind of find out. Now, the NPCs is what everyone's big question is about. Is the Bradley making it in? Are the scientists making it in? And unfortunately, I don't have the answers for you guys. The Facepunch team is hard at work putting out today's update and putting in some last minute changes, like some of the stuff I'm about to cover. And because of that, I haven't been able to get a response back whether or not that's going to be put in. Now, if they do get them in, they will get their own highlight video that I will do in addition afterwards once the dev blog has come out. Now, a big change that a lot of people have been begging is aim cone, aim cone, aim cone, aim cone. Please, aim cone. We hate aim cone, aim cone, aim cone. People won't shut up about it. Well, Help decided last minute probably stop working on some of the other stuff to work on this. The LR and the MP5 now have 90% less aim cone. That's right, 90% less. As well as they are to have a learnable recoil pattern, okay? So, I mean, so you can kind of see it does a weird circle thing, I guess. We'll go ahead and crouch, do the same thing. So you can see it kind of does like an S pattern with the LR, okay? If you're just kind of hip firing, it's clustered together quite a bit. That's actually quite nice. Now for the MP5, you can see the hip fire. It's still a bit out and about, but much tighter, I feel, because this thing kind of always just felt like a pea shooter. Now, if we're zooming in, that's actually pretty accurate, okay? And then, of course, crouching, while zoomed. Whoops. That's pretty spot on. Let's go ahead and take a look at the recoil pattern here. Again, it does kind of like a Z or an S, I guess you could call it. It's more or less. So yeah, that's kind of hopefully what people have been asking for. I mean, it's a big change, and that is, I mean, a step in the right direction. You guys have to remember, you're being so hard on the dev team. They know what needs to be fixed. They've put out multiple times. And there's just these big whiners that just make everything seem 1,000 times worse than it really is. Now, they a while back said they were going to do some fixes to the quarries. Now, that never happened. Well, it is now, and they're doing that work. So, there's going to be, I guess, a survey charge minigame, something rather they're working on. I don't know how that's going to work. It's not implemented. You also see Sulfur Ore has a new icon matching the new nodes. So basically, the desert is going to be sulfur primarily. Then the regular kind of grassy area is going to be rich in metal. And then the snow is going to be rich in high qual. Now that also means you can only get those there. Sulfur is only desert for quarries. Okay, this is only quarries. Alright? Now, this is a start here. We've got the perform analysis, and it gives you a no. Now, let's see, can we read it? Here we go. Sulfur, 93.8 stone and 11.3. So it does like a mineral analysis. So that's kind of interesting. I'm not sure how we're doing it, but you can kind of just see how good is this going to be. And that is kind of the start to it, I guess. I don't know if that's what they mean by the minigame. We'll just have to see. Now, the other thing is, stone output is quadrupled now. So what quarries used to give with stone, which honestly was pretty weak, has been quadrupled. Times 4. So quarries are really meant as a way to get stone now. And then also you can choose, you know, where you're living or where you're setting up your base, what bonus you want to get with it. Is it going to be in the desert with sulfur? Is it going to be in the grasslands with metal ore? Or are you going to be up north in the snow to get high qual? So that's kind of that there. Now, as you can see, these world models are also updated as well here. So the sulfur stone and stuff all matches up pretty nicely. The other thing that's kind of neat is they all kind of have their own color, which makes it kind of easy to kind of pick it up there. With the procedural changes, they've made it to where all roads try to connect. It is a work in progress and something they ultimately hope to connect. They also hope to put smaller rad towns and such in between as well. A lot of people complain grass was too tall. It has been reduced by about 10%. We have also seen the return of gray stones and this beautiful gray kind of mossy green in the green biome, and this is quite nice. It's a nice return of that. There's some old rock structures that you'll start to see popping around, and that is a nice little change to the environment there. When it comes to the ore minigame, it has been done to where you only see the sparkle if you're looking directly at a node. That way it's not as distracting to people. As you can see, that was the stone node there. As we kind of creep up on this other one, you don't really see the light, but now that we're looking at it, boom, it pops up, and it's ready for us to go ahead and whack away at it. Of course, you don't have to. It's not mandatory, and it's definitely not something that you have to do. Next up, you can see the sulfur node here, and I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's just like the stone node, except there's quite a bit of yellow lines going through it. I love these new models. They actually look quite nice, and I was very excited to see them into the game. The nodes themselves actually do take a little bit of a coloration from the biome that they're in, which is nice too, which is kind of helping with that blend in to the environment, feel a little more realistic idea that they've been going for. Now, as you see here, this metal ore node has a nice shimmer to it. You can see the kind of silvery gleam through it. And just as those were gray over there, this one has the red rock of the desert to it. So I think that's really neat that it just kind of, it blends, but they're unique enough to, you know, still be noticeable when you come up on them. And again, you can see here, it's got that silvery sheen to it. This is, of course, going to be a metal node. Again, another metal node. These nodes are just pretty. They've done a really good job at them, and I really like the change. It's nice. And like I said, the minigame, you know, that's optional to you. You don't have to do it. So if you don't like it, don't bother with it. Also, Iceberg fans, rejoice. The Iceberg is back, and you bet you can build on them. I've noticed they're not really as far away as they used to be, so it's definitely a little more tangible, but it is going to be one heck of a pain in the ass to be getting up on top of them. So definitely going to be another really viable base. I look forward to seeing a lot of the new Iceberg base videos there's going to be. And I just wanted to also crawl in here and show the metal nodes in the stone here. And you can see they just look great. They did a really nice job with this. It's a wonderful update, and if anything that I haven't covered happens to pop in, I'll be sure to cover it in another video. As always, guys, don't forget to leave your like as a support for me, and be sure to subscribe if you're new to the series and want to see updates weekly. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.